Hello, everyone, and welcome. No, that's not the right tone for this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Analytical Fanboys. I can't fucking do it. I am your host, the Vacuuminator, and I am joined, as always, by the Woken Boingo Rider.
I prefer Broken.
Yeah, it was definitely a better period, creatively speaking. But speaking of creative things that are better than other things going on in the same vein, this week we're talking about the first season of the tokusatsu series Kamen Rider Amazons, which is a series of 2 seasons and a movie produced for Amazon.com's Amazon Prime streaming service in Japan that is kind of a remake of the 1970s show Kamen Rider Amazon. Although it has very little in common with the original show, outside of aesthetics. It's much more of its own thing, and it also happens to be like one of, if not depending on the day, my favorite Kamen Rider series. And I've never talked to Chris about it, so Chris, have you seen this before? And what did you think of it?
I had not seen this before.
Oh.
So this was the first time watching it, and I'm glad I did watch it. It is really, really good. Put the second season on the list.
Okay. I'll warn you, there's some weird changes.
And it's fine. But here's the thing. The biggest thing is like, I don't want to watch more on my own because I know I wouldn't want to go back into this dark, depressing world voluntarily.
Yeah, it's like BoJack Horseman. You gotta set aside time for this tone.
And it still veers into the goofy every once in a while. The belts still do a jingle. They still have to say a henshin phrase.
The fucking monster designs in this are so great. How they can like be entirely spoopy, but also here's a guy who's just wearing a scarf and goggles and is a fly.
It reminds me a lot of like the Roid Mudes from Drive.
Yeah, it's that same kind of a design aesthetic, except it doesn't totally annoy me because it clashes with everything else in the show.
But yeah, no, this was a really, really good, solid Toku horror.
Yeah, basically the premise is a pharmaceuticals company, I believe is what they are, creates a new type of cells that they start experimenting and trying to create beings out of, and they realize that these things are like horrible killing machines that need to eat basically any kind of meat with protein in it, because, hey, warning for those of you who aren't into graphic imagery, this is kind of fuck vegetarianism, the series. And they eventually start trying to feed on humans, and one of the scientists, this is all like background information, this happens before the show, Takayama Jin goes, this is fucked up. I'm going to try and kill all these things and turn myself into an Amazon so I can kill them. And then 4,000 of them escape out into Tokyo. And when we pick up with the series, there's a group of exterminators that's hunting them and trying to kill them before the public can find out about it. And we follow another type of Amazon that is just figuring out that he's an Amazon and eventually becomes the main rider, Kamen Rider Amazon Omega. And it's basically a slow burn of the exterminators and Amazon Omega and Takayama Jin, who is now Amazon Alpha, interacting and trying to figure out what exactly is going on and where everybody's kind of morals lie in this situation, because there is like a huge moral question to this, which results in one of the most like, it totally works within the show, but out of context, the line, I don't think wanting to eat people is inherently evil is fucking hilarious.
It was very hilarious because, like, I haven't kept up with it, but I used to really enjoy Tokyo Ghoul back when it was a bigger thing, and it just made me go like, you completely made 90% of everything they talked about in that show redundant with that one phrase.
Yep.
It's just like, all right, cool. You are just going to be nailing the hammer to the head.
Yeah, because our main character Haruka, he goes through this whole thing of like discovering that he is an Amazon and he wants to fight and he has that urge to eat people, but he's trying to use it for good. He's trying to keep the other Amazons from killing people. And then he starts seeing a bit of a weird gray area where some of these people are doing it because they think it will stop them from going crazy and just rampaging around, and they're not directly killing anybody, but they're still eating human flesh. And it's like, what the fuck do you do about it? And it turns out what the fuck he does about it is, because we're just going full spoilers, we're gonna jump all over the place here. He creates a colony of Amazons that survive an apocalyptic event towards the end of the series. And he basically just says, we're going to go off and form our own society, and I'm not going to let anybody fuck with us, but also if any of my people try and come and eat humans, I'm just going to kill them.
Yeah. It's very much like, hey, tensions are high. We're just going to do our own thing. But hey, if you need me, I'm here for you. I'm your friend still.
And then Jin's just slowly walking behind him going, I'm gonna fucking kill all of you one day. I'll get you, He-Man.
This genuinely has some of the best characters I've seen in Otaku in quite some time.
Oh yeah. The writing and the performances work so incredibly well together to the point of where, like, I can't see this show working with any one element removed. Like, even you take out the guy in the first episode who turns out to be an Amazon and they have to all start trying to kill him, and then he eats the other guy who ends up becoming Sigma. Like, you take that out and the whole fucking show has to change.
Yeah. Like, genuinely, the Extermination cast, like, I love the guy who just chit-chats with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's his whole job, is he just chit-chats with people to distract them.
He's just supposed to bullshit the neighbors, and it's great, because you'd be that guy in this situation.
Yeah, no, come on, don't worry about it. It's brand new, but it's brand new bug bombs. They just make a really loud zapping noise. Don't worry about it.
What's that chittering? What's that violent gushing sound? Oh, it's some bugs, water's overflowing. Don't worry about it. We're gonna fix it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
He is genuinely one of the most chill dudes. Like, he gets his arm ripped off and eaten, and he goes like, you know what, bro? You ate my arm, but like, you're still my bro, man.
He's fucking bleeding out in the van, and he's concerned that the guy who tore his arm off is in the rain crying alone.
Because he understands, like, if we can go into subtext and text and everything, to me, that character specifically was very much kind of like taking care of a child, taking care of a person with autism. That person,
yeah, I was gonna say he's either an allegory for someone who is severely autistic or someone with Asperger's. It's one of those two.
But like, it's that kind of like characterization. They don't talk down to him. They treat him equal. It's really interesting, and like, they know like he's going through some shit that we don't understand, and it's hurting him just as much as it's hurting us. I may lost my arm, but he is going to be forever traumatized that a person he cares about had his arm ripped off by him.
Also, hats off to the show for, in that moment when you realize that he's switched over to wanting human flesh. That is like one of the most pants-shittingly scary reveals I have ever seen, not just in tokusatsu, but in anything.
Are you talking about the lip licking scene or in the hall scene when he's Kaizen?
The lip licking scene, because like the hallway scene is just kind of like, okay, here it comes, but the lip licking scene, that's like when it clicks with you. Oh God, he's gonna eat this guy at some point.
And it's really tragic because the character is one of the monster people. But throughout most of the series, he is satiated by hamburgers. He can survive with just hamburgers. He's fine.
For context, like shitty, not even really counting as food, McDonald's looking hamburgers.
Yeah, like that's what keeps him happy, and that's what he likes. And everybody's like, yeah, no, it's fine. And as we're fighting in the cannibal restaurant, it's not really cannibal, the people restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't recognize that this would be the plot point when I saw the chef cooking it. He took human meat and made traditional hamburger, which is ground meat done up as a steak. And see all the people eating it fancy, and it's like, oh, okay, hamburger. And then the fight scene happens, and you see it on the floor, and it's like, oh no, he's hungry. Oh no, he doesn't know that people. Oh no.
Oh no.
It's kind of just like, it's very Greek tragedy because it's a lot of hubris. It's the guy thinking, it's the monster boy thinking, I can save my friends by just eating hamburgers. I'm good with that. And seeing a hamburger going like, it's a hamburger. I know what that is.
Mm-hmm. Haruka's whole journey too, just of like learning to accept what he is, even though that's extremely fucked up given his background and how he understands the world, is really harrowing. Like in that last episode where you see him just like fighting to the last breath to try and keep Jin away from the other Amazons, it's like, I don't necessarily know if I could get to that point, but I feel for you.
Something I really appreciate with the fight scenes is like with normal Kamen Rider and typically a lot of tokusatsu is a lot of karate. It's the Japanese martial arts. Karate, it's judo, it's stuff like that. In this, it feels straight up MMA because they're doing grapples, they're going down to the ground, pounding.
The suit the suit acting in this show is fucking fantastic. It really does get across that whole idea of like they're just rage-filled animals.
But like it's not choreo. It feels like they're doing a lot of arm drags. It's very like more like in Kamen Rider, it's a lot of martial arts to be like cool and fancy and all that kind of stuff, like movie martial arts. And this, it feels like no, they just genuinely got some MMA guys, and so like, all right, figure out a cool fight scene.
Mm-hmm. And there is the occasional bit of wire fu thrown in, but it always feels natural for the moment. I'm never taken out of the moment by it, except to go, oh, that's a cool stunt there.
Because it also accentuates like the genuine MMA, like going for a head kick in MMA. You see that, and it looks amazing. And this, he wire foos up off the ground and head kicks while in the air, and it just intensifies it.
Mm-hmm. You want to know something crazy?
What?
This came out at the same time Kamen Rider Ghost was airing.
Oof. Well, we now know where all the wire foo budget went. It didn't go to
because
Ghost.
Kamen Rider Ghost is the show that's infamous for having a double rider kick off of 2 sets of stairs. And they left the trampolines the suit actors are jumping off of on the stairs in the shot.
Oof.
Like, they did not give a fuck about the action in that show and how things looked. Because they were making this.
I mean, hey, like, and I'm glad that this is somewhat canon within regular Kamen Rider.
All Alpha, Omega, and Neo have appeared in, I think it was, I fucking hate this title, Superhero Wars? Cho's Superhero Wars, however you want to say it.
I think that might be it. But it's just like, yeah, no, this weird adult goofy shit is canon. It's real. Accept it.
And like, spoilers, Haruka does make it out all right by the end of it, because I've seen even the final movie. And I could see, like, in 10, 15 years, when Haruka's actor is all grown up and he's at that age where he looks like a grizzled old veteran, they bring him in for, like, a Heisei versus Showa type thing. Like, do Showa versus Reiwa in another 10 years and bring in Haruka as one of the Heisei riders.
Yeah, it's like an alternate dimension of, like, Reiwa riders like, what do you got? And they go like, we got this guy, and he just bursts through a dimensional portal. Is like, give me fucking meat, bitches.
Mm. And
there's a lot less cannibalism, because when I heard of Amazon, I thought, oh, the Amazon guys are just going to eat the monsters when they defeat them. I thought that was going to be more of a prominent thing. Is it more of a prominent thing in the second season?
It's not, but the cannibalism does come back once or twice. It plays into a thing with the main character of the second season, because there's a different main character in the second season. And it's a major plot point of the finale movie. It's like, I'm trying to figure out how many spoilers I should give you, because you've said you want to watch this for the show.
We got the second season on the list. We'll get to it eventually, and we'll talk about it then.
Yeah. But just basically everything, the thing that really impresses me about this series is there's nothing that's ever dropped. Every element, every idea does keep coming back up. Like, the whole we do whatever pays. That comes up with some characters in the second season. The exterminators do come back in the second season. I think it's even I'm trying to remember if it was in the finale movie. If it was pretty minor, but I think it was there. And just the whole way they weave that for the whole season, where Shido, because I just think that name sounds cooler than to just call him Mako. I think of Legend of Korra if I call someone Mako. But Shido's got the whole thing of like, look, I understand some of the Amazons could potentially be good, but also I don't give a fuck. We're in this for the money. We're doing whatever pays. And then eventually that comes back to Mamoru being like, I don't want my friends to be fighting. Here, I'll pay everyone to not fight. And he's got like $1 each for them.
Yeah, because he said, like, everybody else is wanting money, I want money. And the guy goes like, all right, here's $1. And it makes him happy. It's just like, yeah, I'm part of the group. And everybody goes like, acknowledges like, yeah, no. It's something that makes him happy.
Yeah, it's again, it's very much keying into the whole idea that he's an allegory for an autistic person. He's got these little things, these niche things, the burgers, the money, the idea that they're all a team. All those things are his rocks, and he needs them to stay the same. And if they change for any reason, then it really fucks with him.
Mm-hmm. Something I really appreciated, like, they didn't turn the mad scientist mother into just like a cruel mad scientist of like, you are my creation, do as I say. Like, she genuinely cares for Haruka.
Yeah, there were moments, especially because I didn't remember much of what they did with her in the later parts of the show. I think she just kind of disappears towards the end of the second season. But I was trying to remember like what her arc was, and during that moment when they were talking about like trying to get the first time she was going, you need to evacuate Haruka and M to a safe location. I was like, oh, I guess that's just her character is somewhere in that inky void where her heart should be. There's a little spark for Haruka. But no, you see in the last couple episodes that she does actually get kind of emotional when she finds out he's alive. And I would assume she cares for her daughter a little bit, maybe. She doesn't show it at all in this season, though.
Yeah, no. I'd imagine it's mostly just because that's not a focus in the show. It's very much focused around Haruka, so it's him and the sister, him and her kind of batting back and forth kind of thing.
How did you feel about actually, let's just have a discussion of the female characters in general, because we haven't said anything about them yet. How did you feel about the few female characters we had in the show outside of the director? And like the thing is, like, I feel like they're all good, but you could potentially see the show as misogynistic for how little some of them get to do.
I mean, Punch Girl gets a lot of things to do.
Yeah, she's great. Fucking I can't actually remember her name. I can remember pretty much anyone's name, but not hers. But yeah,
and Jen's girlfriend has a lot of things to do, and it's much more of like the, all right, you dumbasses, stop fucking about.
Yeah, I really like her, but I can see people viewing her as like just being waiting in the wings for him all the time, and potentially that's not very progressive storytelling. But you know what? It works for this story. I like it, and it's no spoilers, but a whole hell of a lot better than what they do with her in the second season.
Mm. But it was good. Punch Girl's best Kamen Rider girl.
Really?
Dude, there's a soft spot in my heart for tough as nails tomboys.
Yeah, same. I was surprised to hear that for you, because there's been so many great ones over the years, and I figured you might pick one that actually becomes a rider.
I mean, she can kick monsters' ass without rider stuff. It doesn't complain about it.
Actually, you know what? I always forget to bring this up when talking about this show, but you know what my one complaint with it is? We never actually see the exterminators exterminate a monster completely on their own. It's always either Mamoru, Jin, or Haruka delivering the finishing blow.
Well, Mamoru is part of the exterminators.
He's not true, but it's like, what's the point of those guns if they can't actually kill the things with them?
Stun. That's where they're... Like, to me, it was partially, like, to keep a motif because they kept calling them bugs and pests of, like, oh, they're bug zappers. Kind of thing.
But I never picked up on that, but it makes perfect sense.
It came to me when they were putting up the wires in the hallway to stop the ant boys.
Oh, yeah.
And they were touching it, zap.
How fucking great was that, by the way? This show is so good at, like, just reveals that make you go, oh, the stakes have just gone from 10 to 1,000.
And it was really well filmed, that episode.
Mm-hmm.
They did a really good job just making it feel completely flooded with creatures, even though they probably only had like 10 suits.
There's so many moments in the show that really do feel like, oh, this could be the season finale if they wanted it to be. Like, there's the moment when they finally beat that up, they finally finish off the apartment complex, and they find out about, I'm going to take a stab at this, Talalok. There's the moment where Jin and Haruka have their confrontation at the lab, and then Jin escapes. There's the moment where they beat Sigma. There's the moment when Talalok actually happens. It's moment after moment of, I don't know how it could get any more intense from here, and then it keeps going. It's such a good series at having tons of stuff to say and tons of stuff to do.
It's really well paced.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a moment where it drags.
It takes me back to that brief time when streaming services was a new thing, and every season of every streaming service was amazing.
But yeah. Can we really talk about the allegory I saw throughout this whole series that to me feels very, very concrete, but you'll probably go like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Go off, bro. Tell me your thing.
So here's my TED Talk. The Amazons are cancer.
Elaborate.
If you look at human society as like its own kind of creature and being, the Amazons are essentially like a cancer, ever growing, ever expanding, very aggressive, and attacking the part that makes people human, people, that kind of thing. It overtakes who you are very aggressively and very quickly. and you need a constant state of drugs to even keep it at bay. I'm not saying it's like a major motif, but it's like, oh, cool. There's some things right there.
Could be. And I don't know how, because I haven't seen the second season in forever, because I don't want to make it out like the second season is horrible. There was just a couple of things that really pissed me off about the second season, and probably won't be that bad for me the second time around. But one of the things about the second season that I will go ahead and let you in on, not on how it works, but that it's a thing, because it does build into your theory. Regular people start getting turned into Amazons in that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a whole thing. What's another talking point I could go into? Oh, you know what we haven't touched on at all yet? The guy who gets off on beating women to death. That whole episode was so hard to sit through.
Yeah.
Both times. Because for context for listeners who haven't seen the show, there's an episode where they see a report on the news that makes them think, because usually they just get called by the company like, hey, there's an Amazon here, it's waking up, go take it out. But they see a report on the news that makes them think like, oh, there might be an Amazon there and it's starting to wake up, let's go investigate. And they do end up finding an Amazon, but it's not the person they thought was an Amazon. And the person they thought was an Amazon turns out to just be a fucking serial killer with a ton of bodies lying around the junkyard he owns. All of them are young women. All of them are chained up. And clearly they were beaten to death. And then he starts trying to beat Punch Girl to death.
Yeah, it's... And it also shows the fact that Jin is a very black and white, not moral character, but more black and white, fuck this thing in particular character, because he sees...
He's a fucking Steve Ditko character is what he is.
Yeah. Very, very objectivist, but he basically goes like, you're human, you're not the problem here. I'm just going to ignore you and look for the Amazon. And everybody else is going like, bro, he's killing people. Yeah, no, that's normal human shit. That's fine. But the Amazon's the weird shit that needs to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm. It's a foreign object, or an international object, as Ted Turner would say. It shouldn't be in this environment, and we need to get rid of it.
Much like a cancer cell.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter that parts of the human body can die as you're taking care of it, as long as you get the cancer cell.
Mm-hmm. And the whole team, they all escape, but they just leave that fucking guy there. Like, they scare the pants off of him, but they just leave him there. They don't even call the police on his ass. That we know of within the context of the episode. They could have done it off screen, but the way the episode plays it, they just leave that guy there to keep killing people. And it's like, I don't know if I 100% like these characters anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point. It's very much gray morality, and it's basically saying like, hey, things aren't peachy keen, kid.
Which, again, makes it super impressive that this show came out during Kamen Rider Ghost. The whole thing feels like, and at the time, because I watched this as it originally not aired, but came out, it feels like a reaction to Ghost and that whole style of storytelling. And I, in preparation for this, I looked into some interviews with the head writer of the show from that time when he was promoting it, and he was like, yeah, Kamen Rider is kind of a bunch of kiddie crap now, and I hate it. I remember back when I was a kid and Kuga and Agito was on, and it was badass and it made you think. I'm making a show that's like that. And you really feel it. This feels like an early Heisei show.
Yeah, but now we're getting Kamen Rider that's a lot more like minus 1 or 2 seasons recently. It's a lot of philosophical shit.
Mm-hmm.
We have Drive dealing with human morality, human soul, and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. You have 01 dealing with AI and automation and things like that.
It's interesting because a lot of writer that's happening right now that we like fucking 01, X8, those kind of shows, similar ideas to this, just in a much more brighter palette that kids can enjoy.
Yeah. Like, to an extent, the Bugsters are kind of similar, or a more PG version of the Amazon, because it's like, oh no, it's a monster infecting people. But hey, the person's fine because the monster got out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here it's, oh no, the person is a monster, but they don't want to be a monster, and it's a horrible
they don't have
tragedy.
Any choice. It's animal instincts.
It's a tragedy. So it's taking a lot of these concepts, and I don't want to say that the show like made Toei go like, you know what, fuck yeah, let's do Kamen Rider like this again. It's more of like it feels like it's always probably going to be in this kind of trajectory, and it's just like this was the Watchmen to X8, Drive, and all those is
it's the thing that made writers go, maybe we should put a little more thought into this.
Yeah. I was trying to make a comparison, but I was like, oh, that's a shitty mid-90s comic. Oh, that's a shitty mid-90s comic. Oh no, that's a shitty mid-90s comic. Those are not.
It's almost like Watchmen has this whole aura of having changed comics for the better in the 80s, but the reality is it only kind of capped off comics being good in the 80s.
Yeah. Then the 90s happened.
And then the dark times came. But now it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. I see boomers occasionally saying they can't read DC anymore because it keeps changing, but whatever.
I mean, at least that's better than all the fucking boomers going, Marvel Comics is too political now. Oh, Marvel Comics, too political now. You mean it wasn't political when you had a literal Holocaust survivor saying, you know what? Fuck racism. Like, that's literally his plot line. Magneto coming and going, fuck you, racist.
Mm-hmm. Much like how Takayama Jin goes, the fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer. But
also,
like,
eggs.
Eggs.
Can I offer you a nice egg in this trying time?
You know what? I would have preferred if he kept eating raw eggs more often. It's just a nice visual. It probably would suck as the actor, but like, it's a nice visual of him just cracking an egg raw in his mouth.
I've heard from all kinds of like health nuts that raw eggs don't actually taste as bad as you think they're going to, but also
it's a textural thing.
I'm not going to do that. No. It's the same kind of thing as like there's certain gelatinous fluids I'm just never going to put in my mouth.
Scrambled eggs?
So I can do scrambled eggs as long as you got some cheese in there.
Because lately what I've been doing with scrambled eggs is I've been doing 2 scrambled eggs. Popping either in like some soy or Worcestershire sauce. Spice it up a little bit. Get some shredded cheese. Mix it all in there. And then I like fry some bacon, take the bacon out, have the bacon grease in there, pour the egg in it, and just mix it up. And then like after a minute, it's like a nice curd, like not too dry. It's very nice, very soft, very liquidy.
Very clean. I'm much more of an omelet guy, but I can certainly appreciate that. I also like fucking sunny side up. That's good too.
That's Boingo Rider's egg tip of the.
So can we talk about how fucking glorious the aesthetics in this show are for a second?
Pretty good. The color grading kind of dipped every once in a while, but it felt like that was more because of the camera that they were using rather than them not trying. It seemed like they were really trying.
it is really muddy and kind of like a dingy. It always looks like it's about to rain, but I really like that about it. It just has this wonderfully moody atmosphere that you don't usually see in Toku. Like, you could argue that that's Garo's whole thing, but Garo's a very different kind of moody. It's much more like gothically dark. This is just, it's a shit day out, and there's people trying to do their jobs.
Part of me would have liked if the monster designs were a little bit more like biomechanical, bioorganic, like pulsating, fleshy things, like the end of Akira.
That's a fair complaint. I feel like they were trying to keep it more in line with just the general design philosophy of suits in Rider right now, where it always looks like a suit. Because I think in early Heisei, they experimented around with that kind of stuff, and they ultimately decided to never do it again because it was apparently too frightening for kids.
But this is meant for adults.
That's true. But I do just love the way everything looks in this. Like, I'm not super fond of the Amazon Omega suit. I think it's a little too. It looks like a green metal Sonic, if I'm to be honest.
I can definitely see that.
But I love the Alpha suit. It's one of my favorite suit designs in all of Tokusatsu.
And it's based off an SIC.
Yeah, the fucking the mole Amazon that Mamoru turns into is great.
I love how his drill opens up and it has the 5-star like that one mole species, and he has a mouth.
That's actually based off of what was basically the original Kamen Rider Amazon's secondary character or secondary rider. There was a monster that was a mole for like 2 or 3 episodes that wanted to be good, but ultimately had to be destroyed.
That makes a lot more sense. Why he was why they picked him and not like some like bug to kind of tie it into Kamen Rider more.
Yeah. It's not the best because it's kind of just a repaint, but the Sigma suit is really good. And one of my favorite little touches about the show, just continuity wise, is I love that Haruka gets a bike that's all big and badass and looks like a rider bike, but also clearly was designed for Jin. Like, there was probably some point back when he had just become an Amazon and they were trying to make him part of the Exterminators, and he said, no, fuck off. And then Jin himself is just riding around on a regular ass Harley.
Yep.
That's
probably
yeah, that's such a great little thing. And the belts too are really good because they feel like these perfectly mechanical things without having a ton of gimmickry involved. Like, they did make a toy, and it was kind of gimmickry in how you would swap out faceplates to get the different henshins. But it wasn't like there was different faceplates you could buy. It was one premium Bandai exclusive set, and you got a faceplate where putting it in one way was Omega, putting it in another way was Alpha. And I think they're actually releasing a CSM version pretty soon that's going to have a way that you can put it in and it does Sigma.
Yeah, it was really cool. I like how Omega could pull weapons out of the other side, and it looked like they were pulling it out of his stomach.
Yeah, that was so bad. It reminded me of fucking Rancic from Power Rangers Time Force. You know how he could make swords out of his bones?
Yeah. But yeah, solid Toku. We need more horror Toku going on in today's day.
It was a good old time. It's one of those rare gems in a medium like Tokusatsu where it's like, this is really fucking good, and it could have only happened under these circumstances, and we may never get something like it again, but thank God it exists.
Yep.
But
too bad there wasn't. They could have done like a Shin reference or cameo because they have similar, not setups, but like tones.
Yeah, that would have been great. Shin needs some kind of follow up, for the love of God, because do you know the whole thing with Shin?
Yeah, it was supposed to be this whole big thing, and it just fell through.
It was gonna be originally a trilogy, and like the thing is, the way Shin looks was not supposed to be the final design. He was based off of the idea from the original Kamen Rider manga, where that's how Hongo looked when he transformed at first, but then he put on the rider suit we all know as like an armor disguise to make him more palatable as a hero. And Shin was supposed to get something similar to that in the sequel, but the sequel never happened, so that's just how Shin looks now.
Yeah, and it's always amazing to watch like any team up where you just see all the Showa guys and Shin's just there.
Mm-hmm. Like Jay and Zio, they kind of blend in. They kind of fit. They look like an evolution off of Black's aesthetic. But Shin's just like, are you sure you're in the right crossover, buddy?
He's just off in the corner hanging out with Amazons now.
Yes, that should be canon. Is just like they have like a weekly meetup separate from all the other writers.
We're weird genetic freaks and nobody else understands us.
Dark Rider Tuesday. It's a potluck.
Manga Kamen Rider Ichigo comes over and visits every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Not manga Kamen Rider Black though. He's too busy traveling the world, still trying to snuff out the last remnants of Golgum. But we're getting a little off track here, so I think that's all we have to say on Amazons. Do you want to find out, however, what we will be talking about next week, which hopefully will not take as much time out of our weeks?
Hopefully. Let's see.
All right. It's going. What's it going to be? I can't believe I have to quote Michael Cole because, ladies and gentlemen, the streak is over. We're talking about Hellboy, Seeds of Destruction next week. It's a Chris suggestion.
Come on, man, it's Hellboy. How can you
no, I'm excited. I'm just saying, like, my streak of getting the pick is over. By the way, after this, I would not have put Amazon Season 2 on if Chris had not specifically said so. I went through and like removed anything that I was like, if this is going to take us more than an evening and a half to get through, it has to be off. If it was my pick, it has to be off. But I replaced it with a bunch of movies I like, so that'll be fun at some point. But next time we're talking about Hellboy Seeds of Destruction, which I believe is the first Hellboy comic.
It's the first volume of Hellboy.
Okay.
Which is often, it's like, I'm pretty sure it's the first in continuity. No, it's not the first in continuity. It's the first time we are introduced to Hellboy.
Okay. So we'll talk a little bit more about that next time. But for now, there's still plenty of podcasts left because we have to talk about what we've been up to for the last 2 weeks because I got sick and this show took a while to get through. And since we both probably got a good bit to talk about, I'm going to suggest that we try out a new format for what we've been up to this week. And instead of just one of us sitting here and babbling on for like 15, 20 minutes about stuff, because it makes the conversation feel very one-sided and I think very uninteresting. We're going to go back and forth. It's going to be you do a thing, I do a thing, until we both run out of things.
And may I also just say, tonight, as recording, I need to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, so maybe we can speed it up a tick.
Just a tick.
So, the first things first, I listened to some Vaporwave trying to get more for videos that I can't edit anymore because my computer decided to be a dick.
That's fair.
So, I got that. I got a playlist up and ready, kind of, so I can pick and choose when I want them. I read X-Men number 4.
Ooh. Anything interesting happen?
leaders of Krakoa are invited to a summit meeting in Switzerland. So Professor Xavier, Magneto, and Apocalypse all showed up and basically unzip their pants and flop their giant, massive dicks on the table, going like, "You ain't gonna fuck with us."
Good for them.
All the while, Cyclops and another mutant named Gorgon are taking care of a strike team that were going to assassinate the three of them while they were in the meeting.
Damn.
And like there's a beautiful moment where Magneto just goes, "Hey man, you keep touching your ear a lot. Why are you doing that?" And he goes like, "Nothing. Hey, by the way, those two strike teams you ordered, they're already taken care of." And he goes, like, "What?" And there's a great bit of banter between the ambassador of Wakanda and Magneto. Is just like, "So are you willing to work with us?" And he's like, "Not really. We're good." And he was like, "At least we're friends." Yeah.
Buddies. Good. I like it. So I listened to the new Eminem album. It was
How much pain?
It wasn't horribly embarrassing like I thought it'd be. It was just a lot of like, okay, whatever, and also this is good, but it feels 3 years too late. Like he did a song about mass shootings on it, and I was like, this would have hit me really hard if it had come out like 3 years ago. And he did a song about how much he hated having a stepdad, and I was like, why are we just now hearing about this? Why did you bitch about your mom for so long and you're just now getting to your stepdad?
It's probably just like, all right, got that all out of my system. Now on to the next topic.
Yeah. There's a couple of tracks on here you could probably check out, like the aforementioned Darkness, the mass shooting song is all right. Stepdad's kind of fun. And Godzilla, people seem to be going crazy over just because it has a few Rap God-esque moments of him going super fast. Didn't really do anything for me, but hey, if that's your kind of thing, I guess more power to you. And it was also kind of weird because occasionally you get intros to songs done in an Alfred Hitchcock impression. The whole idea was supposed to be like it's kind of a goofy ironic because the album's called Music to Be Murdered By. So the idea is it's kind of like this macabre, sort of funny, satirical look at things. But it didn't all really work for me. It was just kind of like an obligatory, okay, I guess I'm listening to the new Eminem album tonight because I don't have anything else I want to do. But that's that.
Yeah. I read Marauders #5. They go to Magic. What?
Go ahead.
They go to it's the X-Men, but they're pirates and they're captained by
Oh
Kitty Pryde.
yeah. God, I wish I was more willing to read current X-Men because I feel like I would be super into all the stuff that's happened to Kitty Pryde in the last few years. Because if I remember correctly, like 2015, 2016, she was Star-Lord. Like she just took on the mantle of Star-Lord for a couple of years, and I think that's hilarious.
Yep, she dated him for a while.
Ah.
But then she was going to get married to Colossus. That fell out.
Mm-hmm.
Now they aren't talking to each other, and now she can't get on the island of Krakoa through the gates. So Emma Frost said, "Do you want to be my pirate?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'll be your pirate."
I feel like in most other franchises, that would be a euphemism for something.
Like, and on her cruise, Iceman and Pyro and Storm and Bishop.
Storm, as an officer on a pirate ship, just sounds inherently awesome.
Oh yeah, and it's mostly about like breaking up smuggling for people who are trying to smuggle mutant drugs and trying to smuggle mutants out of countries that don't want them out. So they're having to deal with all that. It's a fun comic. So what next?
I caught up on the Procrastinators podcast. There's a lot to go over that's been going on with them, but I mainly just wanted to use this to talk about the fact that our favorite person, Digibro, is a fucking crazy person who's going around saying that he identifies as... Oh, I can't even get it out. He identifies as autistic. And he's not saying that, like, I've diagnosed myself with autism or I've gotten a diagnosis for autism. He's treating it like he's transgendered. And he's doing a fuck ton of research into autism to try and prove his point, and he's making a giant autism chart on, like, how autistic you have to be into certain types of media. And he's just using it as another way to put Evangelion over as the greatest thing of all time.
Oh, dear Lord.
And he's doing that on this podcast of a bunch of random internet assholes that are just chilling and talking about, like, Chris Chan and Pokemon and the fucking 2020 election. Like, those are the things they regularly talk about on that show. And then just, like, every 3 episodes, Digi will pop up and he'll be like, so here's a tale for my journey into the world of autism. And it's like, you don't... Like, I understand that you kind of created this group, and you're the reason it's popular. You're the reason I found out about it. But you don't belong here anymore, sir.
If they weren't his friends, they'd be laughing at him as a lol cow.
Yeah, probably. It's super cringy, but in an entertaining sort of way for me, mainly just because I've been following Digi for so long. I'm not even following him anymore. I only know him through this podcast now, which makes it even more hilarious, especially because most of their channels, including the main PCP channel, got taken over by a Japanese cryptocurrency ring. Currently, the only channel not affected by this is Digi's, so they're uploading the podcasts on there right now while they try to sort it out.
Is that what? I thought that was like a weird marketing thing Best Guy Ever was doing.
No, that his channel legitimately got hacked, and he's working on trying to get it back. And he's like, because he's a full-time YouTuber, so he's like, as soon as I figure this shit out, we're going to sort everyone else out. It's a whole thing, and I don't even fully have my head around it. It's fun to listen to at work, though.
Like, it's just, like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, he's doing a weird gimmick thing right now. Like, he's, like, it's just a weird thing he's doing. Whatever. I haven't watched him in years, so I'm not going to pay attention. I genuinely thought it was something he was doing.
That's kind of understandable. What's your next thing?
Well, to be frankly honest, I didn't get a ton of things put down on my list these 2 weeks, just because, stress and all that kind of stuff.
It's been a heck of a time.
I read Don Sako Gyaro is super cute.
I've not heard of this.
It's a manga. Basically, the premise is a dude from Tokyo moves up north to the prefecture Hokkaido, city or prefecture, whatever. And the first person he runs into is like a pretty stereotypical gal character, but she's super sweet and really kind of cool. And they become really good friends, and it's just their madcap adventures of a slowly budding romance.
Nice.
And all the goofy stuff that goes with it. Like, he's walking to school in the middle of the snow, a car pulls up, and it's her and her mom. Her mom's driving her to school. Mm-hmm. And she goes like, hey, come on, get in. We'll give you a ride. And it's like, okay, cool. I'll take that. And then he sees a mom, and the mom's also a gal. And he's like, oh, wow. That's where you get it from. And like later on in the chapter, he lets it slip. It's like, yeah, but you're both so cute. And they both start blushing and they go like, you shouldn't do that, boy.
But baka.
It's really adorable. And the mom goes like, says something to the equivalent of like, you hold on to him now.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
It's
those
really
kind of
cute.
moments are always fun.
It's really cute. It's really good.
I'll do these both at the same time because they're kind of short. I found. Have you ever heard of the channel ProWave?
Yes.
I found them this week. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
This is good times. And also I listened to "Wouldn't It Be Nice" by the Beach Boys with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. Because I found out that the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra also did remixes of all the Beach Boys' biggest hits, like they did like those Elvis albums we did on the show.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know what it sounded like. And aside from a really nice intro, it's pretty much the exact same fucking song.
I mean, the Beach Boys really did play with orchestration a lot in their music.
Mm-hmm. It's I mean, I'm sure if you're a Beach Boys fan, it's super good, but like Beach Boys were never my bag.
So I just decided to rewatch all of Dragon Ball Z Abridged. From episode 1. Which is especially serendipitous because the crew just announced that that the original plan of continuing and abridging the Buu saga has fell through. They don't feel like they could do that it would be any good, and they feel burnt out on the project, and they feel like the ending that they did give it was the appropriate ending, and they're not going to continue it anymore.
Oh, wow. So basically on indefinite hiatus, if not full on over.
They basically pretty much said it's over, and if we're going to be doing anything Dragon Ball, it's going to be these like 2 to 3 minute shorts that we've been doing, that we were kind of thinking of maybe using for Boo, but then it just feels like, nah, but we're just not doing it. It was a whole big cluster.
But like, hey, it had a really good long run.
Oh yeah, but now they can continue working and making on things that they can actually monetize. Because they can never monetize Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Yeah. Best of luck on your future endeavors, folks.
Oh yeah, there's interesting things in the pipeline for them, which, you know, good for them.
Yeah. Speaking of YouTube people in interesting ways, I caught up on a few of them this week because I kind of got sick of the format of the Watch Later playlist, and like I'm never gonna fault you for introducing me to it or continuing to do it, but I was just like, I've had enough of this. So I took a bunch of shit out of there, and I was just like, what are the channels that I've been behind on because of this that I am the most interested in? So I caught up on Suede's Pokemon Journey, Passion of the Nerds episode guides for the Whedon shows. Because for those of you who don't know about him, he's basically going through every Whedon show in release order and doing reviews episode by episode. He's up to Buffy season 4, Angel season 2, and Firefly right now. He's been talking about early Firefly lately. And your boy Jobby the Hong.
Jobby the Hongi.
Wow.
The man who catapulted me to minor infamy for 5 seconds.
Fucking the return of Swivel Man was way more fun than I ever would have thought that would be if you just told me it was happening. I love that song. It's been stuck in my head for a good bit now, and it's pretty good. Also, I I was laughing my ass off during the Masterpiece Optimus Prime review because I hated that toy from the moment it was revealed, and getting to see Jobby, one of those people who up until that review was constantly bending over backwards to praise the Masterpiece line and just high-end Transformers and other high-end toys in general, just go like, no, this is fucking ridiculous. I can't believe they tried to get this past us. It was so satisfying.
Yeah.
Why is all this shit in this box? Who cares about this plastic box? Like,
there's somebody who cares about the plastic box.
Yeah, and good for them, but $500.
And Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
And no, Jobby the Hunk's good people.
He is. He's good people. Have you seen the Few review where he made a stupid character for like 5 seconds? That came out recently. Turbo Worm.
No, I don't think I have.
He did a joke where it was like, it was one of the Siege figures. He was like, the black light thing here is the word is Turbo Worm, and he was like, oh, how did Hasbro find out about my obscure EDM alter ego from 2002? And it just hard cuts to him with like a couple of glow sticks in some goofy bondage gear dancing around. And I was like, I had this shower thought the other day. I was like, how great would it be if we could get Ranger T, Boingo, Turbo Worm, and Swivel Man all in the same room?
Ranger T's gonna have a meltdown because he's dealing with fucking max headroom.
Yeah.
A multi-dimensional being who enjoys swiveling a toy and pelvic thrusting. And a fat British man.
I genuinely think he'd get along with Swivel Man, and he'd at least dance with Turbo Worm for a couple seconds.
But then hello! Would you like to buy death?
What?
Death. Buy death. Buy it. Now.
Yes.
Give me your money. Give me your money. Bitch, give me your money. I pull out a knife.
He doesn't actually pull out a knife, he just says, I pull out a knife.
Yeah, I pull out a knife. What? I pull out a gun. What? I pull out a shotgun. What? I pull out a dart. That's less. I pull out a nuke. That's a lot more.
Oh my god. What's another thing from you?
I rewatched Fooly Cooly episode 1 with the intention of writing notes down so I could do a video on it eventually, but then my computer decided to know.
Oh no.
So I got the notes down for one episode.
Okay. I watched Kamen Rider Blade episode 28. That was like almost 2 weeks ago. I don't remember shit about it, so I'm just gonna skip right over that, but I figured I should mention it for continuity's sake. Fucking Doctor Who series 12 episodes 5 and 6. Jack is back, bitch.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It made me happy. That whole episode was really insane because, like, you don't give a shit about Doctor Who spoilers, right?
Nah.
Basically, the premise of it is the Jadoons seal off a city because they're looking for a fugitive. And you think it's this one guy who's acting super weird, and clearly he's not from this small town. He only moved here like a couple of years ago, and a couple people are really suspicious of him. And then it turns out that he was just this person's the fugitive's companion, and the real fugitive was the dude's wife, but she didn't know it because she had her memories erased, because she's an alternate version of the Doctor that's being hunted by the Time Lords.
Oh, okay.
And the Doctor's like, what the fuck? I don't ever remember being you, but you have to be a me from the past because you have a past version of my TARDIS, and I lost my watch that lets me forget who I am and hide as a human. So you have to be from my past, but I don't ever remember being you. Also, why is Gallifrey hunting you? Gallifrey got blowed up in the season premiere, what's going on here? Space is warped and time is bendable. And the other version of the Doctor is just like, I don't fucking know what's going on any more than you do. And she leaves because it's a black woman. That's that version of the Doctor, which got social media all talking.
Are they retconning simultaneously that the Doctor has been a woman before and has also been black, so they can just knock those two things out and make it so it's less of a big deal going forward?
Well, they've already kind of hinted at that because there was a moment in, I think it was Capaldi's last season, because Missy, the female version of the Master, was a series regular during that season. And she had a moment where she was talking to Clara, the current companion, and she was like, you don't know anything more about the Doctor than I do. I've known him since he was a little girl. And it feels like this might be building off of that one line of dialogue. There's been websites that are theorizing that they're retconning in an entire set of regenerations pre-Hartnell. Which would be bonkers. But also I have a theory that like just different timelines are colliding with each other because of the shit the Master did during the season premiere. And Jack is trying to fix that, and that's why he showed up. Because literally, he just shows up in the episode by like kidnapping the companions one by one and being like, "Doctor, oh, you're not the Doctor. Doctor, you're not the Doctor. Doctor, you're not the Doctor. Where's the Doctor? I need to talk to the Doctor. There's a thing she's gonna run into in a couple episodes that's gonna be bad, and she needs to know how to deal with it. Just give her a message. Tell her I'll see her in the season finale. Bye."
Alrighty.
Yeah. It was a whole thing. And then episode 6 was just kind of a filler, but it was a pretty decent filler, aside from the fact that it was very blatantly just a pollution is bad message.
Yeah, sometimes you need those, though.
Yeah. So that's the Doctor Who report for the week. Is there anything else, or should I just start barreling through things?
I watched the first episode of Air Gear again because I watched it forever ago. Air Gear is an anime where a bunch of people have rocket-powered roller skates and skate around and do shit.
That sounds fucking radical, bro.
It does. In the manga, Barack Obama switches bodies with a high school girl.
Does that... Has this manga been officially translated?
Yes.
I'm gonna need to find a copy.
It happens pretty deep into it. They do switch back.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll...
It is very temporary situation. It's like, oh, this is not good. I'm the president of the United States, and I'm in the body of a Japanese high schooler.
Maybe I'll just fucking pirate that shit then.
Especially because it gets incredibly bonkers near the end. It starts off as like a pretty kind of typical gangstery, delinquenty sports story. And then it turns into, oh no, wait a second, post-human cyberpunk and you're a genetic experiment. That's why you're so good at rocket-powered roller skating.
Oh, that's the most Japan thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, genuinely, I believe if you go into it thinking that, oh, this is just a regular sports manga, by the end of it, you were thinking this is so much fucking bullshit. But if you go into it realizing eventually Obama shows up as a Japanese high schooler, and they reveal that, oh, by the way, you're genetically manipulated to be really good at roller skating, you just immediately go like, no, I'm into this the whole 9 yards.
Cool.
Yeah, that's about it. That's what I did, other than play a little bit more Dragon Quest.
All right, I'll just barrel through some stuff pretty quickly. Then I watched the first episode of the DC Universe Swamp Thing series. It's really fucking good. Like I was shocked because I thought that first trailer looked like just a schlocky horror film that would get shoved out during October to make a studio a quick buck. But it's like really, really well done. The only complaint I could have about it is that there's a scene where you kind of find out about the main character's sort of shitty past, and it feels a little forced the way you find out about it. Like, basically a lady who she knew when she was a kid confronts her and says some stuff that it's like, okay, I understand why you feel this way, but it feels like you're kind of ignoring the current situation. Because the whole thing is the main character's like a CDC doctor who's called into her old hometown to deal with a new virus that's cropped up in this like swampland, and nobody knows what it is, and she's trying to figure it out. And eventually, we discover she hasn't figured it out yet by the end of the first episode, but we figure out like, oh, the company that her childhood friend's parents run is doing illegal experimenting, and that's causing weird shit to happen. And also the guy that was working for them and was trying to figure out what it is, they just have him killed, and he falls into the swamp, and he becomes the Swamp Thing. And you see the suit very briefly at the end, and it looks amazing!
Tokusatsu.
Yeah, I'm expecting it to be. I'm expecting the rest of it to be very Rider-esque. I won't be disappointed if it isn't, but it feels like it's going that direction. Also, speaking of Tokusatsu, fucking 2017 Billy is the first character that dies in the show. He's in the opening scene, and he feels so out of place because he's like a black dude who looks like he could be a SoundCloud rapper on this boat in the middle of the swamp with a couple of hillbillies, and they're like putting traps in the swamp. And then vines just come out of nowhere and start attacking them, and he's the first one to get impaled. And I'm like, aw, poor Billy, he didn't deserve that. Because he was telling him to turn around the whole time as soon as things started getting weird. But yeah, it's a good time. I have no idea when I'll get back to it, but I enjoyed that first episode a whole heck of a lot. Kamen Rider 01, episodes 20 and 21 is about as good as it has been for the last few episodes. We're kind of just in a tournament arc right now, so it's just kind of like waiting for that to be over so we can get back to the story really doing stuff. But I'm enjoying it. There's good little character moments every episode, and certain things are clearly going to happen once we get to the end of this, and I'm waiting patiently for them to happen. I watched the entire back half of Transformers Cyberverse Season 2 while I was sick. So I don't remember it super clearly, but I remember it well enough to say that it's pretty good. It didn't exactly do what I wanted it to do, but what it did do was like, oh, cool, that was unexpected, and it makes sense, and yeah. Also wish it hadn't left off where it left off, but again, makes sense. That was just the point of the story they were at. Not necessarily like a big finale moment, just like, okay, yeah, we're out of episodes for this season, so we're just going to leave it here. Not a dull note, but like feels like there should be one more episode after this. And hopefully they won't do the thing they did in between seasons 1 and 2 with there being a massive time skip and, okay, now we're in this status quo. Like, it feels like they should follow through on where we're left off. Yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. Cyberverse is good. If you like Transformers and you like more kitty cartoons, I would suggest watching it. Not like Rescue Heroes Kitty though, or Rescue Bots Kitty, I should say. It's in between. It's in between, like, yeah. It's like it's, you know what it is? It's Transformers if it was written for the Power Rangers age group. And with that said, I watched the first episode of Star Trek Picard because CBS put it on YouTube for free for a couple days. It wasn't terrible, but also it wasn't good enough that I want to watch the rest of it or ever think about it again. Like, there's just some weird continuity shit in there that made me go like, okay, you clearly know your TNG, but the stuff you're cherry picking to work with is some of the more stupid stuff, in my opinion, and I'd rather we just ignore that. So, since you're drawing so much attention to it, and also you're using it to kind of change the way some of these characters are portrayed, I'm just gonna ignore this. It's one of those kind of things. I watched a movie called Prophecy last weekend with some people in the Why We Love Tokusatsu Discord because they've been doing regular movie nights, and I was like, okay, I'll join in with one of those. I have no idea what this movie is, but I'll watch it. And it's a goofy monster movie from the 70s about a killer mutant bear that's like trying to preach an environmental message, but is so hilariously tone deaf. And also, there's a bunch of Native Americans in the movie, but they're all played by Italians. Like, seriously, the main Native American character looks like Sylvester Stallone fucked Ricardo Montalban. It's
you must
kind of
listen to you must listen to the voices of the wind.
Yeah, it's that. It's one of those movies where I can't recommend it as a serious viewing experience, but it was hella fun to watch with a bunch of people and make fun of. It's not necessarily a best of the worst kind of movie, but it's approaching that level, you know. And then I've been kind of trying to cut back on just my regular YouTube viewing and substituting in for that for having stuff on in the background when I'm doing stuff on the computer, but I don't necessarily want to be 100% watching something. I found out via r/squared circle that there's a YouTube channel that's just making playlists of like every official upload of a wrestling segment organized by year, like perfect release order. And I've been making my way through those. It's 1950 all the way up to present day. I'm on 1955.
Neato.
And it's so interesting. Just going back and seeing how much the sport has changed. Like, I was watching Buddy Rogers versus Lou Thesz the other day, and it was fucking it was like an out-of-body experience for me when I realized that the guy at the announce desk was explaining what a pile driver is because Buddy Rogers invented the pile driver. Is really interesting, but also it makes me feel like I'm learning so much about this thing that I've only been into for a couple of years, but super love. Like, unless crazy shit happens, I do like this channel gets deleted or I have to reprioritize my life entirely. I do plan to slowly work my way through all of these, so hopefully I will have a much more wider, much more breathier, much more Meltzer-esque knowledge of wrestling by the time this is over. And speaking of combat sports, did you watch the recent Super Eye Patch Wolf video about fake martial arts?
Shu is my hero. Shu is everyone's hero.
I've been watching a bunch of Shu matches these last couple days.
We should probably explain who Shu is real quick.
So basically, China has been doing this whole campaign of putting over traditional martial arts as like the coolest shit ever, and everybody should learn it and be super prideful of their country in doing that.
But here's the thing, that would have been fine. But the Chinese government then went and said these are genuine martial arts and can be used in a fight.
You'll become a Jedi if you learn how to do Tai Chi.
And Zhu, who is this radio host, DJ, and amateur MMA practitioner, basically said, "Bitch, please get in the ring with me." And people did, and he beat their ass.
And China went, "Oh, we can't have that. That makes us look bad and look like we're stupid and we're lying. We're going to ruin this man's entire existence."
Including doing all the typical Chinese government shit, like lowering your social credit score, making it harder for you to get on a train and do any of that kind of stuff. And basically saying if you want to do some of these matches, you have to put on clown makeup.
And now we're going to make your gym fire you and erase the history, the like 20 plus years of history you have teaching at this gym. Essentially saying that your life doesn't and never did matter, which is super demoralizing. And like I actually went and watched the full stream where he explains that, and I was breaking down along with him. I feel super bad for this guy, and it just got me in a massive mood of like, yeah, fuck China.
Yeah,
Like,
fuck China.
if you're of Chinese descent and you're living in another country right now, I have no problems with you. But if you are a part of the Chinese government or you support it in any way, fuck you, go die.
It's just not. It's just not cool. It's just not cool. He's still doing it, and it's just like, fuck yeah, that dude.
It's like Cody Rhodes' level of commitment to doing the things he needs to do, but it's not fucking planned out.
Yeah, no, he's just going up to people who practice Wing Chun, Kung Fu, Tai Chi, and basically going like, all right, let's have a real fight. And they go like, all right, cool, I'm a master of this martial art, and I can beat you. And he goes like, all right, punch, 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 they're down.
Mm-hmm. It's super interesting to watch, and it's one of those things where it's hard to watch given what's happening to him, but also I don't want to look away because I feel like if I do, when I get around to looking back, I'll find out like, oh yeah, the Chinese government just had him killed.
It's going to be a banger ass movie one day.
Oh yeah. Read a couple things this week. I've been rereading Star Wars Darth Plagueis, which is essentially it's more about Sidious's early years from the perspective of Plagueis.
Smoking weed, doing shots.
Yeah, all that sick Sith shit. But it's just I wanted to read it to see how well it matched up with Sidious's portrayal in Rise of Skywalker. And the answer is it's hilarious how much it simultaneously does and doesn't. Like the whole cloning Snoke thing, that's kind of made plausible by this book, but also that Sith homeworld base is never brought up. And there's another location where they do shit like that, and it's like, you could have just made this book canon and then had that location in the film instead of the Sith homeworld, and it would have made so much more sense.
What are you gonna do?
I'm not mad. I'm just like, this is kind of funny. But that's Star Wars in general. Star Wars is silly space shit. And then the final thing I did this week was because I've had they reprinted it in trade a couple of years ago, and I've had the first volume forever, and I just now got around to it because I've been trying to get in the groove of reading an issue of a comic on my break at work every day, because I have an hour break and I eat lunch in like 15 minutes, and then I'm just sitting and looking at social media for the next 45, and that feels like a huge waste of time. So I'm like, let's try and get some media consumption in there. Let's start bringing comic trades and leaving them in my car so I can read something on my lunch break. So I've been reading Daring New Adventures of Supergirl, which is the series that went from 1982 all the way up until her death in Crisis, which was in 1985. And this is like a period of Supergirl that I've been super trepidatious about dipping my toes into, just because I kind of don't like the pre-80s writing style, and this is in that. There's a lot of narration, there's a lot of overhead, the art's very stiff. Like it's not bad. It's Carmine Infantino, which is pretty good for that kind of art, but it's still that kind of art, so it's a little hard to keep investment into. And also, there's just a lot of straight up goofy shit that's never been talked about again. Like, this was during the period where Kara was Linda Lee, and she had adoptive parents, because instead of fucking Superman taking her in when she came to Earth, he put her in a fucking orphanage, and then eventually she got adopted. And in this, she's in Chicago, having gone off to college, and she's got a bunch of wacky roommates, and she's fighting all these random obscure heroes that never showed up again but debuted in this book. And also there's just some ideas in here that they're doing, like an entire underground interconnected gang of business moguls that control the city and are secretly trying to keep the heroes from actually interfering with any of their crime, which is the exact same thing Bendis is doing in Action Comics right now. Like, I doubt he knows about this, but it's just hilarious that, like, this is happening here, and it's treated with the same level of seriousness. Like, most of the book is just kind of like typical 80s kind of goofy, but kind of not superhero comics. But they're treating that subplot so seriously. And it's like, if only Bendis knew that he's doing the exact same thing as this book, it would be
Court of Owls.
It's kind of a Court of Owls thing. Like I've never thought about it, but now that you said it, yeah, Bendis' current whole Action Comics thing of, what is it called? The Invisible Mafia. They're basically the Court of Owls, but for Superman. Although I doubt we're going to find out that his long lost twin brother is working for them. But yeah, that's everything I did this week, and that's everything for the podcast. So let's go ahead and close this out. Chris, why don't you tell everybody who you are and where they can find you?
Hi, I'm Chris Point Rider Gaston. You can find me on YouTube. I'm not going to be posting it or anything soon because my computer is doggy doo-doo.
We're working on that.
Yeah. I make video editorials there. You can find them, watch them. You can find me on Twitter at Boingo_Writer and on Instagram at Boingo_Writer. And if you want, you can join my Discord server. A link to that is in the description.
Yeah, it's all pretty good stuff. You should check it out. You should also check out my stuff at youtube.com/thevacuuminator. I make toy reviews. I make other stuff occasionally. It's cool. It's fun. I'm on social media at the Vacuuminator on Twitter and Instagram. I post there sometimes. Sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes it's just me farting out ideas. You know, you never know what you're going to get. It's the internet. But it's cool, fun times, just like this podcast has been. So if you want more cool, fun times from us, hey, maybe go ahead and consider hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell to enable notifications. You want to listen to us on the go? Go ahead and download an MP3 from the Google Drive folder we have linked in the video description. And follow us on Twitter at The Modular Media to get updates on the podcast as it's coming out. And if you want to pal around and goof around with us, hey, maybe join our subreddit, r/modular media. But that'll do it for this episode of Analytical Fanboys. We will see you next time when we will be discussing Hellboy, Seeds of Destruction. Until then, shall we do it together, Chris?
I'm trying to figure out what is it Amazon?
Amazon.
Fuck Jeff Bezos.
風も切れ声も枯らして獣が笑うこの街で空か